Hello and welcome back to the Circuito de Jerez and Nieto. We're here for round 6 of the FIM CV Repsol Championship in 2021. We've had 2 races today, 4 more to go, and the next one on the list is the Moto2 European Championship. 4.4 kilometres, a very well-known track, a very world-famous track. The FIM CV Repsol have been coming here ever since it remapped its format. And it's such a classic layout, isn't it? There's a long lap penalty area you can see there at turn 13. Hopefully we won't be seeing too many riders have to venture into that today. There's the bustling paddock life here at the Circuito de Jerez and Nieto, and we're getting set for, well, it looks like it's going to be another speed-up Boscoscura Team Chiatti duel, doesn't it, between Alonso Lopez and Fermin Aldeguer.
It does, but Alonso Lopez is on pole position. So there is hope yet that Alonso Lopez can finally eclipse Fermin Aldeguer. He's obviously been getting closer and closer in recent races, but here again, he's on pole position and ready to mix it with his teammate.
Very hot here in Jerez, 32 degrees. I've just been outside for the first time since this morning, and yes, the temperature has risen significantly. So it's tough conditions out there for the riders. There's not much of a breeze either. So yeah, hopefully the riders don't suffer too badly in the soaring heat here in Andalusia. As we get a look back now at what happened at Moto2 Aragon, there you saw the Fermin Aldeguer fan club. They're here again today, and this is what happened. Alonso Lopez got the best start and sort of started to steer clear of the pack with Fermin Aldeguer, not getting quite a good getaway as he would have hoped, but he picked his way past Tulovic, past Norodin, the number 7 bike, into turn 1, and then set about. He got his radar locked onto the back of his teammate Lopez and just started reeling him in 10th by 10th, lap by lap. There's the 2 teammates, the Dynavolt intact teammates of Tulovic and Norodin. Cardlew's getting in the mix there for the podium fight, and here it all boiled down to this. In the final couple of laps, Fermin Aldeguer caught and passed Alonso Lopez, his teammate, to win yet another race. That's 8 in a row now for Fermin Aldeguer in 2021. Simply unstoppable is Aldeguer, and today we could see him crowned European Moto2 champion.
Yep, we certainly could, Elliot. 44 points is the gap. Alonso Lopez has been next to perfect, unless, well, perfect if you took out Fermin Aldeguer. Alonso Lopez has finished second in every single race apart from one where he finished 3rd, so I think we'll let him off for that one. But it does mean that there's now a 44-point gap between the 2 at the head of the championship in the European Moto2 class. And with 3 races to go, including the one that's about to come up, he cannot win it in this race, Fermin Aldeguer, but he can win it in the second race later this afternoon. And what he would need is 50 points, or no, what would it be?
I think 50 points.
No, he can win it now.
Yeah, he can win it, yeah.
Sorry, I wrapped my head in a tangle there. So he needs 50 points at the end of this race.
Yeah, so if he leaves this race with 50 points or more, he will win the championship in race 1.
Yes.
If he leaves race 2 with 25 points or more, then he'll win the championship.
But with Alonso Lopez having 7 second places and 1 third, the likelihood of Alonso Lopez actually finishing lower than second is very, very slim.
Yes.
And if he does finish second to Aldeguer, that will not be enough for Aldeguer to wrap up the title in this race here.
It's going to be very interesting. Here's what happened in qualifying.
We worked a lot today because today the track was much harder than yesterday, but I had to change my style, and finally I can make a really good lap. Not like yesterday because the track was very difficult, but I am happy because I think that for tomorrow I have a very good pace, and I think that we can do a very good race.
So as you hear then from Alonso Lopez, says that he's got a very good pace and hoping to do a very good race. Well, he certainly does have very good pace, because throughout this weekend, as me and Elliot have been looking at the timing screens, it's been very, very close indeed between those two at the top.
Yeah, Alonso Lopez just getting the better of Aldeguer in qualifying.
Beware of the shark.
Yes, beware of the shark indeed. He needs to channel his inner shark today, just to try and get the better of Firmin Aldeguer, to try and just take the title on for as long as possible, and obviously he wants to try and win it as well. But as you say, Jack, he has been pretty much perfect, and even that third place in Portimao was because him and Aldeguer really tussled it out for victory. It's kudos to Lopez that the gap is only 44 points, despite Aldeguer winning every single race. He's finished second in all but one of them races we just saw. So yeah, really strong season for Alonso Lopez.
Yeah, incredibly strong. I mean, if Aldeguer wasn't in this championship, we'd all be raving about how well Alonso Lopez has been doing. But unfortunately, this man here, for Alonso Lopez anyway, is in this championship and has been absolutely dominating it, as we say. And well, there's not really too much more to add, is there? I mean, he's just been superb. We've seen in his World Championship performances this year as well. He's been absolutely on the money. Yeah, it's certainly one that if he isn't in Moto2 World Championship next year, then some people have really need their heads racking, don't they?
Yeah, I think we've not heard anything, but I think to dominate the European Moto2 Championship like he has at just 16 years of age, Moto2 teams across the field will be trying to looking at getting him in. There's his fan club. They're out in force here between turns 11 and 12. So if Firmin Aldeguer does wrap up the title either in race 1 or race 2, then they'll be celebrating tonight in Jerez. Good to see fans back in the stands, of course. Yeah, Aldeguer has had Grand Prix experience this year. 12th on his Grand Prix debut in Mugello. A lot was said about that. That was just absolutely fantastic from Firmin Aldeguer. So here's Adam Norridin then. We've just missed out Lukas Tulovic, his teammate. He's starting on the outside of the third row. Tulovic, of course, comes into this Jerez race weekend off the back of his maiden Moto E win in Austria. So Tulovic is on form, looking to try and mix it with the two Boscoscura bikes at the front. But that's Norridin. He's had 2 DNFs in a row now. So Norridin was in the fight for the podium, as we saw in Aragon. So he'll be trying to put that right and battle his teammate Tulovic for the podium, as we pan now back to Lukas Tulovic, third in the championship. 3 podiums so far, as you can see there. 2 fourth places in a row. And yeah, he'll be full of confidence after his maiden Moto E. And of course, it's a very different class on very different machinery, and it's always difficult to adapt from the Moto E bike back to a Moto2 bike, or if you're riding 2 different bikes in consecutive weekends, it's already difficult. So it's good that Lukas Tulovic is outside of the front row, and he'll be hoping to at least stand on the podium today. Yeah,
definitely, and in Moto E he's doing the business as well. So Tulovic, yeah, doing a good job in both championships, but he is under a little bit of pressure from this is Xavi Cardelus that we're looking at right now. I'm sure we'll cut to that lovely cameraman about to pan up in front of him. And when we do, there we go, look at that. It's as though I don't know what I'm talking about. This is the number 18 then, Xavi Cardelus, and recently Tulovic has been coming under a little bit of pressure for that third place in the championship from this man here, Cardelus. Obviously got a second place in the second race in Portimao, as you do see there. But before that, 4th, 5th and 4th, just consistently putting in those performances, certainly picked up his form from what he was at the start of the year. So Cardelus coming into his own as we go late into the 2021 season, and here in Jerez, he's looking good. He's certainly not got the pace of the top 2, maybe even 3 guys, but he is very, very close indeed to Norridin and Tulovic ahead of him.
Yeah, we are expecting the Boscoscuros of Lopez and Aldeguer to show their superior pace that they've shown pretty much all year, and certainly this weekend as well. Probably to try to break clear in the early stages, and then there should be a really, really good battle for the final podium place. Of course, that's not always how sport and motorcycle racing works. You can't really place too many predictions on how exactly a race is going to pan out, but the podium fight should be very, very interesting. And talking of podiums, the first one for this man, Tiger Harder, came last time out in Aragon, as you can see there. Ended a little bit of a barren run of non-scores after his impressive start to the season in Estoril. So he'll be flying with confidence, and he comes off the back of the Austrian GP wildcard with the Pertamina Mandalika SAG team. So yeah, Tiger Harder aiming for another podium today from the outside of row 2.
Yeah, and of course, a couple of those non-scores that he had, that weren't through any fault of his own. Well, it depends how you perceive the situation. He had a monumental high side at turn 3 in Catalonia. If you think back to Alvaro Bautista's big high side there in 2019, yes, it was like that. Or 2020, whichever year it was, I forget. This is Kemif Kubo then, starting 7th. Good qualifying for Kemif Kubo. Very, very exciting rider. Loves to have the bike loose and flowing, but occasionally it does get him into trouble with the odd little front end hiccup. But very, very quick on his day. Obviously, you can see there, start of the season, very well indeed at 4th. And then just had a bad couple of rounds with certain mishaps in the race. But one thing that has been consistent across his 2021 campaign is very good qualifying pace. Pretty much been on the 3rd row of the grid every single race. So watch out for him, battling hopefully up towards that top 5.
Yeah, Kubo will certainly be hoping for a good start and try and mix it with the likes of Tulovic, Norodin, Cardloose and Tiger Harder. We're just going to pan now to Diego Perez. Now, when we looked at the what's the word I'm looking for? The sheet
entry list.
The entry list, thank you very much. That just escaped me there. The entry list, we thought, Diego Perez, he's not raced here before, as you can see there on the bottom of your screen. But this is his debut. He's filling in for Oscar Gutierrez, who's currently doing a World Supersport wildcard this weekend. He is a former Red Bull Rookies Cup rider. When we were just looking through some of his past adventures, he was riding the Red Bull Rookies with the likes of Toprak Razgatlioglu and other riders of that caliber, Marcos Ramirez as well. So
yeah, a very, like, we looked at the entry list and kind of just thought, wait, hang on, who is this guy? But incredibly quick, actually followed by Johan Mir on Instagram, which is quite cool. And on a rather cool machine as well, the Bull Taco factory racing machine. You can see it there, middle of the picture with a 91. No, that's not Leon Haslam, he hasn't jumped ship from Honda. But yeah, certainly watch out for Diego Perez, because he's been going very well indeed, around kind of 8th or 9th all weekend long. So that Bull Taco and Diego Perez proving that they're pretty handy.
Should be a good race, shouldn't it, today? There's Dimas Eki. 3 DNFs in the last 4. Well, not DNFs, sorry, but no points scored in the last 4. Got that 7th place at the roller coaster in Portimao, as the riders now just do their last minute changes, last minute rituals on the grid, take some liquids in before the start of the race. The team personnel just clearing the grid, and we're edging closer to race 1 in Moto2 this afternoon here in Jerez. Race 2 coming up a little bit later, of course, the last race of the day, so do stick around for that if you can.
There he is then, the pole man Alonso Lopez. He'll be looking to get the start. One of the traits of this year has been that Aldeguer, whenever he's been able to get the start and the jump ahead of that man there, it seems to be kind of commiserations and draw the curtain on it, because Aldeguer is incredibly good at getting down to the pace early on.
Here we go then. Nearly time for race start. Here's the starting grid. Alonso Lopez leads Firmin Aldeguer and Lucas Tulovic. Adam Norodin, Cardloose and Harder make up row 2 with Kemif Kubo, Perez and Dimas Eki on row 3.
Looking back towards row 4, that's where you'll find Sam Wilford, the Brit. Watch out for him. He's been doing very, very well recently and steadily increasing his performances, so good job from him. Pishikurski's 11th, with Fernando Paz on the Sky VR46 machine, then Escrig, Toledo, Rato, and coming back from then, it was Croesi, Vostetek and Orgis.
Gonzalez, Rychek and Verdugo. On row 7, row 8 is August, Cyber and Borboom, and row 9 is Minozzi, bringing up the rear of the 25-rider strong field. Right,
so predictions. I mean, it's, yeah, we kind of know how this one is probably going to go. It's 1 or 2.
It's difficult to look past either Lopez or Aldeguer for obvious reasons. They've been a class above really throughout the season, and they've displayed it again this weekend. I'm just hoping for Lopez's sake that he can at least win one race before the end of the season. He does deserve to to stand on the top step, doesn't he?
He does.
He's rode really, really well, and
Yeah.
obviously Aldeguer has deserved all his wins because he has been the best rider on the day.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to see Lopez stand on the top step for at least one race, and he'll certainly be hoping so, because he'll still, of course, have aspirations of winning the title. It's not over until it's over. 44 points is a big gap to make up at this stage of the season, but there's no reason why Lopez can't do it if he can just ruffle a few feathers. If he gets that first race win under his belt, we've seen it many times in the past. As soon as you get one win, then they might start tumbling in. So
Exactly. Well, this is the thing, isn't it? If he can get that one win, 36 degrees now, apparently. Wow, that is scorchio. That's a bit too hot. Almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit for anyone that's American watching. But yeah, I mean, if you can get that first win and it does carry on, I mean, we're all talking about that we hope to see Firmin Aldeguer in the World Championship next year. But, you know, like if Alonso's going, no, hang on a minute, I've beaten him and I've continued to beat him towards the end of the season, where's my World Championship ride? So, very, very interesting indeed if it does start to swing momentum and we see Lopez start to get the better of Aldeguer.
there's the championship standings then. Just a reminder, Aldeguer on maximum 200 points from a possible 200. Lopez 156 and 44 points down. What are we going to see today? Not sure, but it should be a fantastic battle for the race win and for the podium place. There's a couple of riders there just making their way through the long lap penalty lane just in case they happen to have to do so.
They're obviously planning on getting their elbows out. So, yeah, one of those was Wilford, who's in 10th on the grid, but actually recently has been finishing a lot higher than 10th, a couple of 6th last time in the last 2 races. So, yeah, watch out for him coming through, and I'm sure there'll be a couple of others as well.
Yeah, 19 consecutive points finishes for Wilford, so
pretty impressive.
Very impressive indeed. There's your front row then. Lopez, Aldeguer and Tulovic. The riders just pulling up to their grid slots. Tulovic gives his tanker a good slap. He's up for it. Is Tulovic. Can he disturb the rhythm of the two Boscosqueros in the early stages? That's what he's got to try and do, isn't it? Green flag waves, the red flag clears, the lights will come on and we'll soon be underway for race 1 in Moto2. Away they go, and it looks like Alonso Lopez has got a great start. Tulovic gets a bit of a wheelie on into turn 1. Is Firmin Aldeguer going to take lead? No, he's a little bit late on the brakes, but not as late as Lopez, so the perfect start for Alonso Lopez. He holds the lead, goes deep into turn 2, the defensive line. Tulovic has just lost out there, hasn't he? I think it's Adwin Norridin that's got up to 3rd place. Yeah,
Norridin up to 3rd, so good launch for Norridin. Good launch for Tiger Harder as well. He's made it 1 position. Terrible launch for Kevin Kubo. The number 9 on the Mastercamp VR46 bike just went skywards and then backwards. Where's he dropped all the way down to? 14th. Bad start as well for Sam Wilford, down to 15th. That's a shame for him. But as we come through then onto the straight for the first time, number 21 it is that still leads ahead of the 54.
Down into turn 6 for the first time. Alonso Lopez getting the start he needed. If Aldeguer got in front of him, then would have just raised a few alarm bells. No jump starts for any of the riders, so that's good news then. No dramas for now. And you can already see Lopez just starting to pull clear of Aldeguer. Norridin trying to go with the two Boscosqueros. He did this in Aragon, if we remember, a few weeks ago. He managed to stick with Lopez in the opening couple of stages and then just started to fade backwards. So Norridin going great guns in the opening stages once again. Oh, Lopez just keeping it off the green there. So did Aldeguer as they come through turns 10, turns 11 and 12, sorry, past the Firmin Aldeguer fan club, past our commentary box and into turn 13, the Jorge Lorenzo corner. It's going to be Lopez gets there nice and safe. There's Tiger Harder getting ahead of Javi Cardalus. It's going to be Alonso Lopez then, who leads the way over the line. Let's see what the gap is. A couple of seconds back to Firmin Aldeguer, so they're right in touch.
Yeah, so these 3 then, Lopez, Aldeguer and Norridin, really already getting down to it. It looks as though Tulovic might just need an extra lap or 2 to pick up to the pace that they're already trying to push. But certainly, good showing from Norridin once again, as you do say, did this last time out in Aragon. And again, he's challenging them here. Looks like Tiger Harder is just blocking up Carter loose a tiny bit. I'm sure Carter loose would be pretty keen to get past, because once these guys start to stretch out, it is incredibly hard because they're all so close on pace to catch anyone up again. So here it comes then, down into turn 6. Slipstream, not so much a big thing in Moto2, but it still does help to be tucked in behind anyway. But no, harder. Oh, that's Dimas Eki getting a little bit of a wiggle on.
Easily done. Oh, who's that down?
Is that?
Looks like
it's Noridin. No. Oh, just as we were saying.
Yeah, it is down at Noridin.
Damn.
Unlucky there for Adam Noridin down at turn 6. I assume it's what we see so often down into there. Just a front end tuck, a simple enough crash, about as simple as you can get, but.
So what that has done then is it now is a 2-horse race at the front, as we expected it may well be anyway, between the two Bosco Team Giatti Talent boys, and well, this one's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be all about whether Alonso Lopez can pull a gap on Aldeguer or not. At the moment, he's doing just that. This lap, he is a couple of tenths quicker already. So we'll see what it is as they come flying across the line. And look at that's almost out to, what, 3/4 of a second now? Let's see as they come across. Well, a little bit less actually, 4 tenths apparently. And Alonso Lopez was 2 tenths quicker that last lap round. So he's certainly trying to stretch it.
He certainly is. He stretched out a lead in Aragon, and then Fermin Aldeguer was just able to reel him in. So here's the crash then. Yeah, just a
front end
tuck for Noridin. No saving that one, unfortunately, for Noridin, and it looks like his race is done. He has another chance to try and stick it to these two lads on screen later on, but unfortunately it's not going to happen in race 1 now. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Aldeguer does here. He's just going to sit behind Lopez. They've both got very similar pace.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Usually we see Aldeguer attack quite early on because he knows he's got the superior pace, so he can break him.
Whoa!
Oh, whoa!
Was that a save there from Lopez? I feel like the way he just slid across the track, he might have been able to pick that up.
He did have a moment going in. I saw the suspension compress really quickly, but I don't think too much of it. It looked like just a small bobble. But anyway, it was pushed him very, very wide, and then he almost got his front end collected by Aldeguer. Just as we were saying, we thought Aldeguer may not attack on this one. He's been gifted the lead anyway. So now it's role reversal. The shark is hunting the little fish out the front. Well, we've seen that before, haven't we, in recent times? Still time has gone by. Anyway, Aldeguer in the lead as we come to complete lap 3.
I really hope we get a replay of that down into turn 6. I feel like Lopez has picked it up either on his knee or on his elbow, because the way he slid across the track, it looked like he was sort of losing the front. Thankfully for Lopez's sake, he's able to keep it on the straight and narrow, but he is now behind Fermin Aldeguer. So let's see what Aldeguer has now got. Is he, like you say, Jack, going to push like he normally does when he gets out front, just to try and get that initial advantage, and then he can just measure and keep it from there? Right, let's have a look.
This is what you wanted to see, Elliot?
Not quite. I mean, that was close enough.
Mightily close. Shaking the head there.
It's just a little bit further round than we wanted. I want to see if Lopez was channeling his inner Marc Marquez to keep it upright.
Yeah, I'm sure he was certainly trying to. Certainly something went on anyway with the front end going down into turn 6. But it appears, well, that's just unleashed Aldeguer, hasn't it? He's already trying to go. A couple of attempts quicker in the first split alone on this lap already. But Alonso fights back with Alonso Lopez, I do beg your pardon, with the fastest sector through there in sector 2.
Yeah, this might go all the way down to the wire. Lopez and Aldeguer both know the championship situation, don't they? Lopez knows he really does need to beat Aldeguer today. And Aldeguer knows that if he finishes first, absolutely fantastic. He's very, very, very close to winning the championship. But if he finishes second, that's not too bad a result either. Here's the battle for third place. Lukas Tulovic taking over the baton after his teammate Noridin crashed out in the early stages. He's got Carter loose for company with Dimas Eki Protaro just 1.3 seconds adrift. So
that's the championship then. As we did tell you before, if Aldeguer beats him and Alonso Lopez finishes second, the championship is still alive. It's alive by a single thread, but it is still alive. Aldeguer needs 50 points or more of an advantage after this race to wrap it up. So as they are right now, it will carry on until the second race this afternoon. Oh, and he's gone wide. He's gone in a little bit deep. Yeah,
into turn 1. He knows his teammates there. They will get the signal on the pit board, of course, saying +0 Lopez. So yeah, Aldeguer will know that his teammate is hunting him down is Tulovic and Cardelus. These two have had plenty of battles in recent races in 2021. Cardelus shadowing Tulovic.
Yeah, and as we said as well, it looked as though as soon as Cardelus got past Tiger Harder, it has just unleashed him. He's closed that gap in behind Tulovic, which I think was about a second at the time when he was stuck behind him. And Tiger Harder is now behind Dimaseki Pratama as well. Oh, and look at that already. He's gone for it. So intentions are clear then for Alonso Lopez. He wants the lead. He's trying to keep this championship alive by more than just 49 points. Back down to 44 points goes the advantage. Or will it be less? 39, I think, now.
Wow, shape there coming into turn 8. This is exactly what Lopez needs to do, though.
Who's that one that's retired? Is that one of the R6 runners? It's Federico Minozzi. So, unfortunately for him, looks as though he's got an issue with his Yamaha R6 there.
Yeah, this is exactly what Lopez needs to do, isn't it? He can't just sit behind Aldeguer and let Aldeguer get a little bit comfortable into his rhythm, even though Lopez can stick with him. He needs to try and ruffle his feathers a little bit. Their teammates, so they're not going to race too hard,
well,
I say.
You say that, but the last two times when we've seen Aldeguer make a race-winning pass on Alonso Lopez, he's done that pass and made it stick,
yes,
hasn't he? He's run it in quite hard. Clean, but hard.
Yeah, clean. Harsh but fair, shall we say? They're not going to be silly about it. That's what I'm
Alonso Lopez did confirm both times after he said no, it was all fine, good hard racing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Portimao was a big one when they had a couple of moments at the bottom of the hill. I can't remember what term, but down the Craig Jones corner, exactly. And that's where Alonso Lopez lost second place to Cardelus that time around, and they're locked together here, aren't they? 12 laps to go. Lopez was going to try and break Furman Aldeguer, but I don't think it's possible. Incidentally, we should mention, Jack, didn't we? We noticed yesterday that Aldeguer was a good couple of attempts quicker in the hotter temperatures in qualifying yesterday. I don't know how that's going to resonate into race pace, but certainly in qualifying pace, Aldeguer seemed to have a little bit of an advantage over Lopez.
Yeah, he did a little bit. It's kind of been that way all year when it gets to the second session in the afternoon when track temperatures are pretty hot, and believe you me, they are pretty hot here this afternoon in Jerez. Track temperatures, particularly yesterday in qualifying, towards the end of their Q2 session, were rocketing up to kind of the high 40s, and that is pretty warm. But yeah, when track temperatures get hot, Aldeguer, that's when he really shines.
Coming into turns 11 and 12 then. Is Aldeguer just going to sit there? I think he's probably just going to... He can clearly run the pace at the minute of his teammate Lopez, so Aldeguer will just be sitting there working out where Lopez might be a little bit stronger.
There's Minozzi coming back out onto the track, not too far ahead of the leaders, so hopefully he will pull out of the way when he comes past. Not even bothering with the slipstream. I guess that shows the intent that he's just happy to sit, watch, learn exactly what Alonso Lopez is doing, and then you know what that means. He's going to pounce in the final few laps.
Exactly, and we mustn't forget, Aldeguer is only 16 years old. He's got such a bright future ahead of him, as has Alonso Lopez. Lopez, of course, has Moto2 experience in the Grand Prix paddock.
He does, yeah. Obviously lost that ride in some unusual circumstances, but yeah, I mean, it's quite incredible, to be fair, because when he lost that Moto3 ride, yes, he was frustrated and a bit disappointed, but he's come back to Moto2 European Championship and he's putting in a season like he is now, where he's getting better every race weekend, and all of a sudden he's in the frame for a Moto2 ride that, you know, he may well not have been in before. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword for him. On one hand, it was annoying. On one hand, it's worked out a treat.
Here's the replay of the race start. You can see there, Tulovic really getting... And yeah, then Kevin Kuba, the number 9 as well, really struggling to get their bikes off the line. I think we saw that from Tulovic in Aragon as well, if I remember correctly. So he did manage to hold P3, to be fair to Tulovic. So after the initial wheelie off the line, he got the power to the ground reasonably well, did Tulovic. But yeah, not the start he would have been hoping for. He would have been hoping, like we said before, to try and maybe get the whole shot and just ruffle these two's feathers a little bit, disrupt the rhythm in the opening stages. But it's not turned out that way, because these two are now 6.4 seconds clear as Javi Cardelus, who has got the better now of Lucas Tulovic.
There's a big shake of the head there from number 21, Alonso Lopez, the race leader, just as he came through on the exit of turn 12 there. Very, very close to track limits. I wonder if he's just getting a little bit frustrated with kind of maybe just a couple of small mistakes that he's making, trying to keep it on track. Oh, God, I forgot about Carlos' electric knees when he's on the downshift.
Wow.
Leon Haslam was obviously the one that made that whole thing very, very famous, but Carlos has picked it up and perfected the recipe by the looks of it.
That was spectacular.
Yeah, that did, yeah. That looked awesome. But anyway, yeah, so not too sure what the big shake of the head was about for Lopez, but possibly just, maybe just a feeling with a bike that he's not quite 100% happy with.
Just got to keep his head, hasn't he? Not seen him lose his head at all this year. But yeah, when your teammate who you know is ahead of you in the championship and has won every race is riding right behind you, and if we don't know how hard Lopez is pushing, of course, but he will probably be pushing at 100%, if not 95%, just to try and conserve maybe a little bit of tyre wear in these hot conditions. But that was Fermin Aldeguer running onto the green paint there. Not sure how many times that is. It's at least one. I think it's the first time we've seen him do it. So we have mentioned track limits. It is a prominent factor in motorcycle racing in recent years, so just got to be careful there. A long lap penalty for either of these two, you'd think would be the end of their hopes of challenging each other, but never say never. But hopefully neither rider will get a long lap penalty. One
good point you actually picked up on there, Elliot, was about Alonso. He's shaking his head again there. I wonder what's going on. I'm quite confused here, and yeah, not too sure what's going on, but we'll keep an eye on it. Possibly he's just struggling with the bike. But, I mean, it doesn't seem to be struggling too much. He is running the pace. But, no, you pick up on a good point there about Alonso Lopez. He hasn't shown any frustration this year when he's been finishing second. Oh, Aldeguer's wide there. Just got sucked into the back of the number 21 in front of him. But no damage done. He'll be right on the back of him, I'm sure, by the end of this lap. But he hasn't shown any frustration when you finish second to your main rival. It can be a bit demoralising. We've seen it in championships gone by in 2019 with Johnny Ray and Alvaro Bautista when he won, 13 races in a row at the start of the year. Johnny Ray said it was just so crucial not to get bogged down in that. Eventually you'll figure it out and try and get the better of him, and that's exactly what Lopez has been doing the last couple of races. He's been getting closer and closer and closer to finally beating Aldeguer.
It's all you can do, isn't it? If your teammate has just got a little bit extra on you throughout the season, the best you can do is finish second to keep the pressure on. You mentioned Jonathan Ray and Alvaro Bautista and Radis Piquet. It's exactly what Ray did, and eventually Ray was able to get the better of him, as we see Filip Rajcek has crashed out. Not sure where that is. I think it's turn 9 by the looks of it, the right-hander into the stadium section. I know it's turn 1.
I presume he's just lost the front. Yeah, there it is. A little bit too much brake going in, trail braking a bit too hard, and that Yamaha R6 has gone for a little tumble through the gravel. That's a shame there for Filip Rajcek then.
Yeah, thankfully all up and okay, back onto his feet. As we mentioned, we've got a race 2 later on today. So back with the leaders, still Lopez leading Fermin Aldeguer into the last corner. 8 laps to go when they cross the line. I didn't see a shake of the head that time around from Lopez, so yeah, not quite sure what he's unhappy with. Clearly not entirely comfortable, but he's still leading the race from Aldeguer reasonably comfortably. He's not making any mistakes. Aldeguer made a mistake at turn 1 on the last lap, as Tulovic, as we see, has now got back past Carlos in the battle for the final podium position.
Yeah, it's a shame we couldn't see the electric knees there of Carlos that time coming into turn 1. Look at this little gaggle. Sam Wilford, and that is the number 9 on Kenneth Kubo. Good recovery from those two boys. They dropped to, 13th and 14th off the start. 2 bad starts for them, and now they're all the way back up on the rear end of Tiger Harder and Dimaseki Pritama. So good job from those two guys coming back through. They must have had the pace over them in the last few laps. I haven't been checking the timing screens, but I do know that about 3 or 4 laps ago. Oh, that's close.
I was just about to say, looking at the timing screens, it's less than a 10th between them.
Here he goes.
Oh, he's made the move then.
Now this is early.
Really good. It is early. 8 laps to go, 7.5 laps to go, and that's not usually a place where we see too many passing. He obviously got a little bit squirrely on the brakes in turn 6, but got the drive out of turn 6 and dived up the inside at turn 7 did Aldeguer. So now we're going to see what Lopez has got. He was shaking his head for a few laps. Now Aldeguer's got past him. Aldeguer clearly feels like he can try and break clear. He's got the superior pace. We're going to wait and see.
Yeah, it is that time. It's role reversal time. It's whether Lopez can stay with Aldeguer now. He's got to stick behind him for a few laps if you want any chance in the last couple of laps. Oh, look at that. So Aldeguer is definitely pushing on then. He's trying to break him already. Only been in the lead for about 6 or 7 corners. He's gone on and extended over track limits. And that will give Lopez a little bit of confidence to know that he's pushing, but he has to push very, very hard to try and break away. Yeah, for sure. There's the Firmin Aldeguer fan club. They'll be pleased to see their man back leading the race. Yeah, that's at least 2 times now Aldeguer has gone onto the green. So another time, another couple of times, he'll be having to take a trip through the long lap penalty route as the Boscoscura Team Chatty team members look on, and the gap visibly is already growing. It's opening up. I just wonder, Elliot, if those shakes of the head, the source of those shakes of the head, is whether there was possibly a little bit of conversation about which way to go on setup, whether to make a change. And if they have made a change and Alonso Lopez is now feeling that possibly it wasn't the right one to do and knows already that he's going to struggle to stay with Aldeguer. Yeah, you might be right there. We'll obviously try and find out after the race if that was the case, but still 6.5 laps to go. There's plenty of running left to do. Alonso Lopez has just got to try and stick with Firmin Aldeguer here. The gap's crept up to half a second now. So Aldeguer's clearly pushing on, but he's not dropping in like a stone. Lopez is still clinging on to the coattails of Firmin Aldeguer, but this is a crucial stage of the race. If Firmin Aldeguer starts to creep up to a gap of over a second, then you feel like it might be game over, but he's gone into the green once again there, so that's 3 times now. So he's got to be careful. A long lap penalty might be coming the way of Firmin Aldeguer very soon. It's just interesting looking at the sector times as well. Through sector 2 and 3, where it's a bit more about carrying your corner speed and being nice and smooth through those corners as opposed to big heavy braking zones and accelerating out, that's where Lopez is able to match Aldeguer. So it may well be this first sector where all the hard work that he's doing around the rest of the lap is being undone. We'll check again this time and inform you. Battle for third place still raging on between Tulovic and Cardloose. Nothing between the German and Andorran rider. Backing it in there again, Cardloose. This is going to go right down to the wire, isn't it? They've got very similar pace of Tulovic and Cardloose. I don't think he meant to pop that little wheel there on the exit of turn 1. No, probably not. And it's interesting as the championship standings come up, sorry Jack, that Tulovic and Cardloose are fighting it out for third place in the standings. So as things stand, Tulovic will hold the advantage over Cardloose, obviously extend it because he's currently leading him. Yeah, and you've got to say that at the moment it does look like that Cardloose is the one with the momentum, even though Tulovic is ahead of him in the race and in the championship. We were saying about those sector times. In the first split, Aldeguer pulled out 7/10 on Alonso Lopez, but then in the second split, Alonso Lopez has pulled back 2 of those. So it does seem it's that first split where the damage is being done for Alonso Lopez, and whatever he does, I mean, if he can pull back 7/10 again in this lap, then fair play to him. But yeah, it looks as though it could well be a very difficult last 5.5 laps for Alonso Lopez. Got to feel like there was a mistake there somewhere. 7/10 is a lot to drop in sector 1. We didn't see it on the screens. Maybe we'll get a replay at some point if there was a mistake. If there wasn't, and Aldeguer has just creamed it through sector 1, sorry, then yeah, Lopez has got some making up to do in terms of the gap. Cardloose just about avoiding track limits there as the riders will come around the final corner. Aldeguer and Alonso Lopez have crossed the line with 5 laps to go. There's the gap then. It's now up towards 0.9 seconds, so just under 1 second. We mentioned if Aldeguer can get that gap to over a second and then just keep his rhythm, not make any mistakes, it's going to be very, very difficult for Lopez to reel him back in and overtake. So let's see what the split time is through sector 1 again. Yeah, oh no, sector 1 that time around, Lopez pretty much matched Aldeguer, but as we mentioned, that gap is now just over a second, so it's, yeah, crunch time really for Lopez if he's going to try and beat Aldeguer here. Yeah, this is classic Firmin Aldeguer. As soon as he gets in front, he just pushes and pushes and pushes until he breaks his opponent. And it looks as though Aldeguer actually there was a tiny bit wide, but nothing too major. So yeah, Alonso Lopez certainly got his work cut out if he wants to try and finally beat his teammate. I feel sorry for him almost because he's riding so well. He's just there, he's right there, he's less than a second up the road, but it's that all-important P1, P2 difference.
Certainly is. Around turn 9 and turn 10. Here's a replay of something.
This may well be the mistake.
Yeah, so into turn 1, there's Firmin Aldeguer on the anchors, tipping it right. What's going to happen here?
So nothing major there. All good with Aldeguer. Lovely, hits the apex nice and smooth. Just a nice. That
Aldeguer's talent
doesn't answer my question as whether there was a mistake. But oh, look at that! That gap's come down.
Yeah, just about to say that. 0.6 seconds. What is it over the line? 0.5. So a very, very good lap then for Lopez. This isn't done yet, ladies and gentlemen. 4 laps to go. Lopez has got the bit between his teeth. He's locked his radar onto the back of his teammate as Carlos. Not quite. No, I thought he was going to break a little bit later than he did, but no, not quite there. But Carlos is climbing all over the back.
He might go up the inside at 2.
Certainly has.
Yes, he does. Lovely stuff from Carlos then. Tucked it in tight at turn 1, made sure he got the drive. Tulovic was a fraction wide, but that was all he needed. What I was going to say, I thought he was going to bite back at 4 then. That would have been brave.
Not there, Lucas, not there.
Anyway, so Carlos then up into P3. That's a great job from that young man. If he can hold on to that, it would be his 2nd podium of the season. So certainly good form at the moment with Carlos.
Yeah, that's going to go right down to the wire. We mentioned it's 3rd place in the championship up for grabs there. These two are battling it out with Norridin also close, but of course Norridin crashed in the early stages of the race. So it's between those two for 3rd in the race and 3rd in the championship for now. Just checking back with Aldeguer and Lopez, 0.6 seconds. It is 0.7 now. Aldeguer just eking out a little bit more of an advantage, around 1/10 of a second in sector 3.
Well, Carlos was a little bit loose with the rear coming there through turn 8. Was that one? Yes, it was, turn 8. So certainly a little bit loose. Looks as though the tyres just starting to run out of a little bit of grip, but still plenty left anyway. Carlos, I think if he can get a clean lap in without Tulovic coming back by him, he may well just be able to get enough of a buffer coming down into the last 2 or 3 laps. Well, I'll tell you what, here he comes.
He's not going to get a clean lap in though, is he? Tulovic. Nicely done. Just set it up on the exit of turn 12. Got a little bit of slipstream and then broke late into turn 13. I was going to say got the job done, but he's not quite, because Carlos has hung it round the outside. He's now got the inside line into turn 1. Nothing Lucas Tulovic can do about that. Carlos then holds station with 3 laps to go. What's the gap at the front? 0.7 seconds. So Lopez, well, it's now crept up to a 2nd. That's sector 1 again. Just loses a little bit too much time. If he could just sort sector 1 out by a couple of attempts, then they'd be equal throughout the whole lap, or Lopez would be a little bit better in sector 2 and sector 3, as I mentioned.
That gap, the reason why it came down, it may well have been a mistake from Aldeguer, because he was back down to 43.3 that last lap round, but the lap before, when the gap came down, he was up at 43.9, and both of those laps Lopez held his pace at a 43.5, so it looks as though it was possibly just a small mistake, as that's no mistake from Carlos or Tulovic. Tulovic comes up underneath him again, then gets him on the brakes. Look at these two having fun, looking over at each other. Good racing, rubbing it all the way to the line.
Yeah, fantastic racing from Tulovic and Carlos. I'm sure there'll be 2 very, very beaming smiles under those helmets. Yeah, Carlos just running wide there at turn 8. As we sweep through turn 9, just checking back with the leaders again. The gap is now at a 2nd, so Lopez, yeah, just losing a little bit more time. I think you're probably right, Jack, that last lap time there from Aldeguer was a good half a second quicker than he went on the previous lap, so maybe there was a mistake somewhere that we didn't see. Tulovic just edges out now, a nice little advantage, no chance for Carlos to pass him into turn 13 with 2 and a bit laps to go. The leaders have already crossed the line with 2 laps to go.
Well, I thought it would be the other way around, that Carlos would pull a gap on Tulovic, but no, it seems as though Tulovic, as Carlos has come past him, has just woken him up a little bit and he's kick-fired again. Here's the battle then back for 5th and 6th. This is Kenneth Kubo who's in 5th. That on your screen there is Tiger Harder, the number 23. And he's got his hard-charging teammate Sam Wilford behind in 7th, which is another good ride from Wilf. The last few races had a couple of 6th places, which was his PB. So certainly not far from what he's done in the past.
Yeah, very solid effort from the British rider once again with the AGR team. First year with this team, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he's obviously learning to new surroundings, learning the bike. And yeah, he's really had, especially the last 3 rounds, he's really got to grips with it, hasn't he?
He has,
trio of P6s. So.
Certainly, yeah. He's just kind of picked it up, and his qualifying has certainly been getting better as well. In fact, his qualifying this race was actually the first one of the season where he hadn't been higher up the grid than the last race, but he was 10th anyway. Anyway, I'm talking while there's some good action going out here. Kevin Kubo then slides back under Tiger Harder once again, and it seems that these two are going to battle all the way to the flag for this one. Oh, he's gone a little bit wide, is he? Or is he going to cut it back for a late apex? No, he's gone well
too
wide
there, but he might have the inside line for turn 9. Yeah, so he just hangs around the outside, holds it harder. Just maybe showing a wheel there. Thought better of it this time around, but there's only 1 and a bit laps to go now for these guys. Here are the leaders then. Aldeguer leads the way. We're heading on to the last lap. The gap is 0.9 seconds. What is it? Over the line. It's crept up to just over a second. So Lopez really needs the lap of his life if he's going to reel in the championship leader and his teammate. We remind you, Fermin Aldeguer can't win the title as things stand, but this really will put him in a very, very, very strong position to win it in race 2.
Yeah, he's basically got 1 hand, 4 fingers and half of the 5th one on the trophy if he goes into the next race with a 49-point lead. And it seems as though that's exactly what's going to happen. You've got to hand it to Alonso Lopez. He's run him hard all race long, but it just seems whether there is a slight setup change that maybe wasn't the correct one, just seems as though he hasn't quite got that edge that we thought. To be honest, we thought he would be all the way with him in this race. They've been very, very close in pace throughout this weekend.
Yeah, just not quite prevailed, has it, for Lopez? Aldeguer rounds the Dani Pedrosa corner, safe and sound, no mistakes so far from Aldeguer on this final lap. Clearly still pushing there. You can just see in the top right hand corner his fan club. They'll be pleased with this result. Lopez, yeah, now 1.4 seconds back, so I think Lopez is just going to bring it home in 2nd place. A job well done for Lopez, but again, not quite enough of a match for Fermin Aldeguer.
Yeah, he's been absolutely superior to all this season in Moto2 European Championship. There you can see it, 49 points. Not quite enough, just missing that 1 vital point. But it's literally impossible for him to get any more this season. He will go on to 225 points, 9 wins out of 9. Absolutely awesome.
Aldeguer rounds the Jorge Lorenzo corner, no issues whatsoever. Gets tucked in behind the bubble. Celebrates with his team, crosses the line for his 9th win in a row. 9 out of 9 for Fermin Aldeguer. Lonzo Lopez claims 2nd place once again to stop the celebration so far today. And Lukas Tulovic in the end comfortably gets the better of Xavi Cardelus in the battle for the final podium position. Tulovic 3rd, Cardelus in P4.
And it looks as though Kenneth Kubo is going to take 5th place. Yes, he does. Great ride from that man. That is his best result of the season. Oh, no, beg pardon, it is not. He had a 4th in Estoril round 1. But great return to form for Kenneth Kubo. Solid ride, particularly after a poor start.
What can you say about this man that we haven't already? Fermin Aldeguer, the 16-year-old. 16 years old. He's won 9 European Moto2 races on the bounce. There's just no stopping him in 2021. He's been an absolute sensation on the Moto2 machine this year. There's Alonso Lopez. He'll be disappointed with 2nd place again, but he's doing all he can to stop Fermin Aldeguer's title celebrations. 49 points now, yeah, just signaling to maybe one of his team members at the side of the track, one of his spotters maybe. Not sure what, but just looks like a bit of movement, too much movement maybe, or something like that. There's Tulovic. Consolidates 3rd in the championship for now. That's his 4th podium of the season. Returns to the podium for the first time since his double 3rd place in Barcelona. So a good result there for Lukas Tulovic. That's 2 podiums in 7 days for the German rider after he picked up a maiden Moto2 race win in Austria. Yeah, Lopez does look a little bit downbeat, which is understandable. Not so for Fermin Aldeguer, though. Will he be World Championship bound in 2022? You really have to think so, don't you? 9 wins in a row in the European Moto2 Championship. There's going to be many, many teams, including, of course, the speed-up guys in the Moto2 World Championship. The Boscoscuro chassis and everyone else looking at him. One to look out for the future for sure. There's the Fermin Aldeguer fan club. There he is Putting a nice little wheelie between turn 11 and 12. The number 54, Superius, in 2021. He'll roll into pit lane, come into Parc Fermé. He knows exactly what that's like. Takes 9 wins in a row. Unprecedented. Who would have thought this at the start of the year? We knew what a talent he was. We knew he'd go well. But I don't think anyone, not even his team and himself, could have predicted winning 9 races in a row. He's had the superior pace all year as Fermin Aldeguer, but to win 9 races in a row, no matter who you are, no matter how quick you are, is incredibly difficult. To not make a single mistake in terms of a race-losing mistake. At just 16 years old, it's mighty, mighty impressive. In the end, 1.9 seconds split Fermin Aldeguer and Alonso Lopez at the line. Race 2 coming your way after race 2 of Moto3 coming up next, and then we've got the second race from the Hawkers European Talent Cup. Alonso Lopez just debriefing there with one of his team members, obviously just trying to explain what was going wrong. Something obviously not quite right, not quite perfect on the bike. So they'll be changing that for race 2 later on today. And in race 2, it's champagne on ice for, well, not for Fermin Aldeguer because he can't drink champagne because he's only 16 years old, but for the team, it'll be champagne on ice, and the celebrations just starting to get warmed up because 49 points. He needs 25 points. There's the race-winning move at turn number 7. Fermin Aldeguer getting it lit up out of turn 6, on the gas, up the inside. Clean as you like through turn 7, and there just gets a little fist pump to the team. He knows how important that 9th race win is, and he's so close now to the 2021 European Moto2 Championship title. Of course, we'll soon be hearing from Aldeguer in Parc Fermé. Jack Gorsers ran down to Parc Fermé in these scorching conditions. The temperature's ever increasing. It's up to 34 degrees. Scheduled to get up to 37 later on this afternoon. Hopefully that isn't the case, especially for the riders out there, because it is extremely warm. Makes life even more difficult for the competitors in these conditions. And there's Fermin Aldeguer just celebrating with some family and friends, it looks like. They're, of course, here to hopefully witness him lift the title for their sake. A big weekend, of course, for Fermin Aldeguer. As we've mentioned, good to see fans back, good to see friends and family being allowed into the Grand Prix paddock to cheer on their stars. Bit of normality returning, which is always nice after an incredibly difficult 12 to 18 months for everyone. And very soon we'll be hearing what Aldeguer has to say about his latest race win. Of course, then they'll head up to the podium to celebrate, and then they'll go back, debrief with the teams about race 1 and get set for race 2. 3 races still coming your way, 3 down, 3 to go. We're only halfway through, and we're going to hear from Fermin Aldeguer now. He's down with Jack Gorst.
Fermin, looked like a fun battle with Alonso, but in the end you made it 9 out of 9, and now you're so close to the championship. How was that race?
Yeah, the race was very difficult for the condition. The tracks have too much hot. For me, my physique is too difficult, but I'm very happy with the race, with all my weekend. And thank you to my team, to my sponsor. And this race is for Hugo Millán.
And once more in Spanish for it as well.
Ha sido una carrera muy difícil. Las condiciones eran muy complicadas, hacía muchísima calor. La pista estaba súper caliente y mi físico lo ha notado. pero bueno, súper contento con la carrera, con el fin de semana. Muchas gracias a mi equipo, a mi familia, y esta carrera va por Hugo Millán.
Congratulations, see you in race 2.
Congratulations to Fermin Aldeguer. Then this was how it unfolded. Alonso Lopez started on pole position. Fermin Aldeguer getting a decent launch, but not quite enough to get the better of his teammate into turn 1. Tulovic holding on to P3 despite that wheelie off the line that caused him a little bit of trouble. Lopez went defensive into turn 2 to hold the lead, and from there it was all about the two Boscoscuro chassis riders, Team Chiatti riders at the front. They just edged clear, showed their superior pace. Norridin threatened to go with them in the early stages, but there he was, Adam Norridin, crashing out at turn 6. Thankfully, Norridin was perfectly okay, and he'll be raring to go for race 2. There we saw the mistake from Alonso Lopez. Not quite sure what happened there, but it allowed Fermin Aldeguer to carve past, and from there Fermin Aldeguer didn't really look back, didn't look in too much trouble. Lopez stuck with him for the majority of the race. The lead didn't really creep over a second for a lot of the race. As we saw a few crashes down the order, out into turn 1, easily done. That was the number 30 rider. But up front, it was all about these two riders. The team watched on anxiously. Of course, championship points up for Grass, important championship points up for Grass. And in the battle for third place on track, it was Cardloose versus Tulovic. Tulovic diving up the inside there at turn 13. A fantastic scrap between these two experienced riders. In the end though, Fermin Aldeguer made no mistakes. He rounded the final corner comfortably to take a 9th race win, victory in a row. He's also close to that championship crown now. Lopez crossed the line second, with Tulovic beating Cardloose to 3rd place. Final results then. Fermin Aldeguer wins once again in the Moto2 European Championship. Lopez finishes second with Tulovic 3rd place. Cardloose, Kemit Kubo rounded out the top 5 with Tiger Harder, Sam Wilford and Dimas Ekipatara battling well, as we saw in the race. Piotr Biersakurski finished 9th place, 34 seconds back in the lead with Matteo Rato. Alex Skrieg, the Superstock 600 2021 champion, finished 11th with Toledo, Diego Perez, Sander Krotze and Andrei Vostacek completing the points. Gonzalez and the Jugo there in 16th and 17th place respectively. Kevin August, Nicholas Chris Scheiber, Joel Borboom, Leon August finished a lap down. Minozzi pulling into pit lane and then eventually finishing the race with Paz, Rycek and Norridin all unable to finish.
So a great performance then from Fermin Aldeguer. And now it's time to bring them out onto the podium, and some of them spray the champagne, others spray the fizzy water. Great job from Tulovic. Good battle there at the end with Cardloose. Those two battling on and off track, not off track, sorry, on this track, and then also Moto2 as well. And then obviously Alonso Lopez stepping up to take another 2nd place. He's going to be getting sick of that 2nd place on the podium spot, but he is getting much, much closer. And of course, the man at the head of the podium, Fermin Aldeguer. Not too much more we can say about him. He's been superb, 9 out of 9 on 100% record. But the 3rd place trophy then goes to Lucas Tulovic. He makes that trophy look very small. Alonso Lopez takes another 2nd place trophy to stick on the cabinet shelf. He was talking to his mechanic there in the end, just in Parc Ferme, and saying something, but wasn't too sure. There was a couple of small complaints, whether that was about physical condition or with the bike, I'm not too sure.
Consolation for Alonso Lopez, gets the €200 check. I'm sure he would have preferred the race win as we get set for the race winner's national anthem.
fuerte el aplauso para Fermín Aldeguer, el vencedor en esta carrera del europeo de
So there we go
Moto2,
then. Time to spray the bubbly and the fizzy water. It really has been the FIM Aldeguer and Alonso Lopez show in 2021. But it's certainly worth noting the performances from Tulovic and also Cardelus in the second half of the season, really coming into his own and showing that, well, hopefully as we end towards the end of the season and go into next year, he's going to be right up there with the best of them. So, 49 points is the advantage. That means he only needs a single point more than what Alonso Lopez scores in the next race, and he will be the Moto2 European champion. Lucas Tulovic there in third, Cardelus extended his advantage over him. Norridin in fifth, Sam Wilford in sixth. Great job in the championship this year from him. From Rato, Eki and Toledo, who is the top Stock 600 runner in the top 10 championship. Great job. Tiger Harder and Kenneth Kubo, who had a close battle in that race. 10th and 11th on equal points for 47 apiece. Piotr Bishikurski in 12th from Zeti, Ishizuka, Mikhail Paz, Aleix View and Andy Vidoya down in 17th with 19 points. Then looking down the order, we have Joel Borboom from Oscar Gutierrez, Gian Mertens, Jeremy Bernay, Diego Perez on the Bull Taco. And here are your Stock 600 runners as well.
Vamos, ahí está la foto, la celebración. La celebración con la gaseosa.
Obviously, Stock 600 a class within a class, and this one slightly different to the Moto2 machines as they are production motorcycles. And this is what exactly it looks like there. Alex Iscari then 225 points, absolutely taking the cake in this one. Same as Firmin Aldeguer, 9 out of 9. From Vostotec, Orgis, Croese, Orgis, Moreno, Perez, Minozzi, who retired out of that last race as we saw, and Alex Perez. Antonio Carpe down in 10th with 22 points. From Chiba in 11th. Philip Rehak, who crashed out of that one at turn 1. Jared Schultz, Gonzalez, Jesper Surno, I do believe is actually doing a wild card in Super Sport, World Super Sport this weekend in Navarra, not too sure, I'll have to double check on that one. But in the main show, it was this man once again. We've had this scene 9 times already this year, and well, we could well have it for a 10th in, well, about 2 or 3 hours time when they return for the second race. But no one can stop him. Alonso Lopez puts up a good fight. I'm sure they'll go back now and make some adjustments, try to squeeze out those final few percentage points out of that Boscoscura that they can, so that he can challenge this man. But in this one, that was it. That was all she wrote. Number 54. Will it be the number 1 at the end of the day?